Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joe Theodore and it's an honor to be here with you today. So here is the long-awaited video on the new moon in Gemini. So I've been wanting to make this video for at least 5 days now, but there was a lot of other things I wanted to talk about first on the channel. And then of course I was inspired to do a video on the sun. So now I'm here to discuss the new moon in Gemini, guys. So this new moon is incredible. And I don't say that, just because I think every astrology video should try to convince you that the astrology will be marvelous and wonderful. Because you know me now, that if I have something to say that I think is going to be a little challenging, or if there's a shadow aspect to it that I think we should be concerned about, or if intuitively I feel, there's something in the collective pulse we should know that can help us, I will of course say it. But this is a marvelous, marvelous new moon. And one of the major reasons for this is because Mercury is finally out of Taurus. So Mercury is home with a fresh ingress into Gemini, just adding to this massive stellium in Gemini. Now, as I've said many times over the past month or two, Gemini and all of the other zodiac signs, aside from Aries, Taurus, and then of course Pluto being in Aquarius and Saturn and Neptune being in Pisces, we haven't seen air like this in a very long time. And we haven't seen Gemini energy like this in a very long time. There's been no planets transiting in Gemini at all. No aspects going to Gemini at all up until Jupiter's ingress and the Sun and Venus. And on this new moon, June 6th, Mercury is just freshly entered, and we have the Sun and the Moon still kind of, because there's still a cazimi with Venus, guys. So the whole beginning of June, this first week, there's a lot of Venusian influence with the sun, a lot of illumination, and a lot of very auspicious good luck, for a lot of us. I feel like when Venus is conjoined the sun, we do get like this boost of creativity and connection. But again, everybody's version of connection and, even love and just vibing back and forth can be different. But this is incredible because Gemini energy at its most top-notch potential is extremely good at communicating and communicating things that are new. And this is the major thing of the new moons, is always something new. It's always a new opportunity. It's always a moment to start something new. So this is a brand new portal that's opening in regards to the way we speak to each other, in regards to things that are coming our way involving communication. So a lot of things will be coming towards us that are in the mental realm. I've been saying that for a long time, there's going to be a lot of people connecting with new people or just with new ideas. And there's going to be a lot of newness in the air. So we have to be prepared for that. And we should also be brave enough to initiate things. So I know a lot of you have reached out to me already and have been talking about starting new things or whatever. And this couldn't be a better time. Just like I said, when Mars ingressed into Aries, that's a beautiful time to start things. The only difference with that is that Mars hitting all these major activations that already happened in Aries, it's kind of been very overwhelming on top of maybe anything we really wanted to start, even though I do think the last 2 months have been beautiful moments to start anything. I think anyone who's taken initiative with Mars entering Aries after the eclipses, after the new moon in Taurus, after the full moon in Sagittarius came, and now we have the new moon in Gemini, I still think we're in this bubble, for anyone who has a pure heart and good intentions and an idea and a vision of any kind, even that's to just change something in your life. There's still so much energy in the air to move things forward, to really get things going. Now, on the contrary to that, there could be a lot of information being revealed that's not so good. Things that are challenging to hear, things that are, in the media that are tough to integrate. But again, Gemini is all about chaos and mental chaos. And sometimes mental chaos can be organized in such a way where it benefits us. If you really think about thought and the actual what thoughts are, and how we think, if you actually took a minute and said, wow, your thoughts are really crazy. Every couple of seconds, you have another thought, or a thought builds on another thought. That's a very wild, thing to think about, right? Thoughts are crazy. Thoughts are chaotic, no matter how organized. And, we, as a human, we need thought. We need to think. We're thinkers. We're a thinking species. Excuse me, guys. My throat's a little weird right now. But, and that's what Gemini represents to a degree. So in the purest of sense, Gemini and all of its chaos can organize itself in a beautiful way so we can really get things done, and we can learn new things and communicate efficiently and build relationships and build partnerships and be able to vibe with other people and other things. But on the flip side of that, the chaos can spin out of control. And Jupiter is going to be expanding everything that Gemini has to offer this year. Any transits that go through Gemini, Jupiter will be there. And at the moment of this new moon, in this whole first week, we have all these trines from Pluto. So we're having such a massive Pluto influence on transpersonal awakening, understanding, and things going on in the world that are very platonic. I mean, like in the last video I did, sort of, with Mercury conjunct Uranus, I already predicted, in a way, that Trump was going to get convicted. And again, anytime, for the record, guys, that I bring up politics or anything, one, I hope we don't start any sort of conflict in the comment section on anything. As an astrologer, as an intuitive, as someone who teaches, I'm here to just guide you and point to what's going on. Just the facts of the matter. Like, I don't care what your beliefs are, But the fact is that Mars conjunct Uranus was bound to bring a lot of media and crazy revelations and things providing, just shock to the mental communicative world. And I was not surprised at all that later the day that I posted that video, that Trump got convicted of all that stuff. Now, what's wild is that his sentencing date, July 11th, Mars will be at the exact place Mercury was as it was approaching Uranus. So symbolically, we can say, well, the day of his sentencing, we're going to have a lot of Martian activity. And Martian activity can be dangerous, right? It can be dangerous, or it can move things forward in a particular way. There's going to be a lot of, that's why I said I was worried, from the last video I made, because Mars getting so close to Uranus, we're bound to see something explosive occur. In our own personal lives, though, this could be wonderful stuff. We need Martian energy to get things done, to move, to be active, to be fearless and strong. But when you're dealing with Uranus and Mars, just like we just had this moment with Mercury and Uranus, and so many other things were in the news as well. So many other things. A lot of the media just sort of spiked in the last 24 hours. And again, the media is all over Trump right now. It's just 24/7 news waves constantly about that. That's Mercury and Uranus at the moment. Again, Mercury and Gemini, we're going to be integrating, a lot of other things that are going to be revealing themselves to us. And then this new moon is going to be providing us with a new consciousness, on a collective level and an individual level. So, I'm not going to really talk about this Trump thing. This video is not about that. But when Mercury gets into Gemini, the world in that, just in holding true on that topic, the integration of that communication and the furthering of that communication and the fleshing out of the ideas of what that whole situation's about and the future of politics and the presidency and Biden and just, we're leading up to one of the most wild elections ever. And this new moon in Gemini is sort of just birthing this new reality in the sense of what we're talking about, the current American political moment. So this new moon in Gemini, in that sense, is going to be, just a brand new conversation has begun involving what's going to happen with Trump, right? So, and then another example of what had just happened yesterday, I saw online is that Jon Stewart, is going to be launching a brand new podcast called The Weekly Show, literally on June 6th, the new moon. So that's another example, guys. I don't care what you think about Jon Stewart. I don't know. I don't care if you're left or right. Personally, I think both sides are crazy, and I've never subscribed to either parties in my life. I've always been an independent since a teenager. So from a very beginning, when I was a rebellious rock and roll band guy, I mean, I was always like throwing middle fingers up to both parties, to be honest. So to be honest, if anyone's tribal, I think tribalism needs to go out the window in order for humanity to evolve, like, at all. The moment you find yourself in a tribe, the moment you are in trouble, because groupthink is a dangerous place to be. Unless that groupthink is really, for peace, love, and harmony, and, stuff that doesn't involve hate and violence. Other than that, I have no interest. And if you really analyze all groups and groupthink, at some point, there is some hate and violence involved, right? Let's be real. But back to Jon Stewart. He was the Daily Show guy for years, right? I personally always I loved him back in the day. And, personally, I don't really engage too much in entertainment in that regard today. But it's funny. June 6th, the new moon, this massive stellium, he is starting The Weekly Show, which is a profound piggyback on his entire legacy of The Daily Show. So for him, this is a very massive moment. And this is a beautiful, astrology, on point moment saying, hey, couldn't ask for a better, synchronicity for the new moon in Gemini. Jon Stewart starting The Weekly Show. Now, aside from that, there's so much that goes into this new moon story. Where's Gemini in your birth chart, for example? Because these are the energies that are going to be spiked. These are the themes that are going to be spiked in your life that are most active for you to even put some astrological shamanic magic into. So like I say in all of my magical kind of talks, is not only do transits happen to us, but we have to realize we are one with the transits. And when we link our consciousnesses together with the transits, we can perform alchemy, and we can really put things into the world and manifest things, even if our intention is to mentally manifest things, to just, hope for new ideas and insights. So when we're talking about Gemini, we're talking about the mental, we're talking about communication, we're talking about connecting with others and connecting with whatever the case may be. And this is a very auspicious new moon to really get your intentions in the right place, to really reach out to those people you want to reach out to really book those readings with an astrologer if you really feel like connecting with them. You know what I mean? Like, this is the moment to really, want to learn stuff too, to really be like, I'm ready to grab onto this and like really try to understand this new thing, or I want to put myself in a position where I can really, really get involved psychologically. But Gemini is a fast-moving place to be. And as far as Venus and Mercury and the Sun, this moment's going to happen very quickly. So within 2 weeks' time, we're going to have Mercury, Venus, and the Sun in Cancer. So this crazy wild Gemini movement must be taken advantage of. We must look at the collective from a particular viewpoint to realize, like, okay, we're going to get hit with all this information. I think still, that there's so much to discern in the collective. I think we have to be careful to not get swept off of our feet, because Gemini energy can really sweep us off of our feet. And there's also a lot of trickster energy in Gemini. So we have to be careful with what we're consuming, what we are believing, and actually sometimes how we are communicating with others. Are we communicating honestly and authentically? Because sometimes Gemini just wants to talk, Sometimes Gemini just wants to, kind of say things and do things for the sake of what the reaction will be. So we have to be like conscious of that as well. But because we're dealing with a new moon, and because Mercury, is finally back in its home turf, we can really expect a lot of the a lot of opportunity to really connect, because Gemini at the end of the day wants to connect. It wants to, connect fast. It wants to get information out there as fast as it can. It wants to take in information as fast as it can. And, because we have Jupiter and Venus, we have two benefics, and of course the moon and the sun. I mean, there's so many beautiful planets involved that, this can go in the most positive of ways if we wanted to. Of course, people who have accumulated bad karmas in their life, yeah, I mean, sometimes astrology just falls flat on certain people. If you build up enough challenge and karma in your life, you're not going to feel like the most positive ends of, some of these transits that I'm like, this is a beautiful portal. This is a beautiful moment right here. But even for the darkest of people and the darkest of moments, there are portals that are open for them to do the right thing, to say the right thing, to, kind of shift and pivot in the way that they communicate to do the right thing. Otherwise, the shadow of that is just they're going to birth even more chaos in a trickster type of way. So again, every zodiac sign and planet does have a shadow, does have a weakness. And this new moon for some people is just going to be, for people who are out of alignment and just completely doing the wrong thing, this new moon will just be another starting point for them to deny, the good, the opportunity to do good and to say good. So is there anything else I want to say on Gemini, guys? Well, while I'm thinking if I want to say anything else, if you stayed to this part of the video, please like the video. The thumbs up button really helps the algorithm. Subscribe if you're new. Check out my links down below, guys. I have pre-recorded classes now available on my Patreon. You do not need to be a member of Patreon to purchase classes there, which is awesome. And consider becoming a patron. And and then book a reading with me, of course, if you want to connect and dive deeper into your story. But yeah, guys, the new moon in Gemini, this is, I have a lot of heavy Gemini energy in my birth chart. So this will be activating, I'm sure, a lot of stuff for me. And personally, I have to do a lot of grounding work with Gemini because Gemini is very, chaotic sometimes in my life. But to my benefit, it allows me to learn things very quickly. It allows me to communicate, make kind of complex things a little bit simpler to understand for people. So for me, my Gemini activations here, I think are going to allow me to shift into a new paradigm of, even coming up with new ideas and new ways to do things. And also, I think psychic insight will be elevated for most of us as well. Because I do think, the amount of information that will get fed to us will have to get processed not only by the mind, but by so many other intuitive systems, right? Now, the problem is that with Neptune and Pisces, our intuitive systems have been so clouded. But I think this Gemini moment is really going to, allow us to at least kind of think a little bit faster and on our toes as well. So we might be able to work through the fogginess a little bit, easier, in my opinion. Because Gemini really knows how to cut through, and shape and shift around stuff. Let me try to think. Was there any, we have Pluto trining Gemini, so Pluto will be influencing, the whole sign, to be honest, in a way. Pluto will be influencing Mercury, of course, as it immediately enters. Jupiter is still there, so Pluto. So yeah, Pluto will be activating a lot. Pluto's, this is why we're seeing a lot of stuff on the world stage. I think when we look at Pluto, yeah, we can examine our life and we can kind of see where Pluto is affecting us. But Pluto, because it's such a massive collective planet, and we really see Pluto play out on the world stage, like those are huge triggers for world mundane astrology events. I mean, so much of what we see in the collective right now is, we can see Pluto's influence for sure. But, and I think Mars won't be activating Gemini at this point. But yeah, guys, there's so much more astrology to come after this new moon. I do hope that you enjoyed this this talk today. If I feel like there's anything else I need to say on this new moon, maybe I'll make another video, but I think that's really all I wanted to say today, guys. So that's all for the video. I hope you're all doing super well today, and I'm sending you so much love as always. Bye now.